The Guardians and the White Sox are waiting discipline after that J-Ram and TA7 rumble in the jungle. Also, a former White Sox player just completely put them on blast. The Angels, their season might legitimately be over after the recent implosion since the trade deadline. And speaking of season might being over, Jake Meyers, he might have ended the Yankee season all by himself. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game almost every single day. And a reminder, if you're going to any baseball games, concerts, anything like that anytime soon, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save $20 off. All right, let's start off with the lone walk-off victory from yesterday. The Diamondbacks at the Twins. The Twins, they might have found themselves a Joey Gallo replacement. Matt Wallner is officially turning into a dude. Look at that catch in left field. He covered a ton of ground to rob Jake McCarthy of a base hit in the fourth inning, and stay tuned because he wasn't done making plays. Dallas Keuchel didn't give up 8 runs. He went 5 solid innings. He didn't strike out anyone, but Dallas Keuchel, he's not a strikeout guy. He allowed just 1 run over 5. Good for him. Carlos Correa, he ripped a huge 2-run single in the second. It is 2-1 Twins, only to have Lourdes Gurriel tie it right back up on a double to score Corbin Carroll. And there's the lead back. Christian Walker, he now has 23 home runs. He flat out rakes. And you know who else rakes? Max Kepler. I mean, he might have forgotten how to rake. He was terrible the last few years, but in 2023, Max Kepler, he's back to being a pretty decent hitter. He has 18 home runs, and I told you Matt Wallner wasn't done making plays. He walks it off. He has 7 home runs and a .381 on base percentage in 30 games this year. The Twins, they just keep on winning. Every time we talk about Minnesota, we have to talk about Cleveland, and Luis Robert Jr. had himself a huge first half of this game. He legged out an RBI triple in the first inning, and then after Cleveland took the lead, he went full airborne in center field to make an insane catch at the wall. He's been one of the 10 best players in all of baseball this year. Cleveland, they kept their lead with 2 outs in the 9th, and they're going to come away with a W. No, they're not. That's not an easy play, but that has to get made. I guess when you have Cole Calhoun at first base, I mean, that throw was almost never going to get picked. Elvis Andrus then put the team on his back both with the stick and also with the leather. There he is with a go-ahead 2-run single, and then in the next frame, he stole the momentum that Cleveland was trying to build. He made a nice play. The Guardians are now 5-8 against the White Sox this year, so Chicago fans, they're kind of getting the last laugh. But before we talk about the Astros and Yankees game, I want to talk about a new Yankee and former White Sox pitcher, Keenan Middleton, tearing up his former team. He said that rookies were sleeping in the dugout during White Sox games. Pitchers were missing PFPs, that is pitching fielding practice. There were no consequences at all. So even though the White Sox, yeah, they get the last laugh against the Guardians, what happened with Tim Anderson, what's been happening in the dugout and all season long, dating back to the last few seasons, I mean, White Sox fans legitimately should be upset with their squad because on paper, the White Sox should have been a World Series contender, and they just flat out sucked. All right, moving on over to the Yankees game. New York did not expect to get a broken version of Carlos Rodon when they signed him in the offseason, but that's what they're getting in 2023. Jake Meyers, he muscled out a 3-run home run, his first of 2 home runs, do not go anywhere. Yordan Alvarez, he pummeled a lefty-lefty home run, his 21st of the season, despite missing a handful of games. Carlos, he exits after 2 2/3. He now has a 7.33 ERA as a Yankee. I think he'll be way better in 2024 after getting fully healthy, but yikes, that's bad. Carlos Rodon, Luis Severino, Nestor Cortez, they've all been terrible this year. Houston, they momentarily imploded. They allowed New York to get right back into it. When Jake Meyers, he put on his cape again, he destroyed the Yankees all series long. He was making plays in the outfield, and then in this one, he drove in 6 RBIs on 2 swings. He honestly has some sick tools. He does strike out quite a bit, but I think that he's a pretty talented baseball player. It got so bad for the Yankees that even Martin Maldonado hit a home run, and after Brian Abreu dominated for his 4th save, the Astros, they even up the season series at 2 games apiece. From the Astros to the Rangers, let's see if the Astros can get any help from Miami as they're facing off against the Rangers, who are just 2.5 games ahead of Houston for first place in the AL West. Mitch Garver, he drove in the game's first run on a single. He's hitting .360 ever since Jonah Heim went down with the wrist injury. The Rangers, honestly, anytime someone goes down, everyone else steps up. Nathaniel Lowe, he made Sandy pay for making a mistake pitch. I mean, that was pretty much right down the middle. Nathaniel Lowe has a 135 OPS plus over his last 268 games. That is insane. Marcus Semien, he now has 18 home runs, as Andrew Heaney, he was able to dice up the Miami Marlins lineup for nearly 6 shutout. He had 4 base hits, over 5 2/3. He only threw 81 pitches before he got taken out the game. Texas, they kept the power stroke going with home runs from rookie Ezekiel Duran and El Bombe. Adolis Garcia has 29 home runs, 89 RBIs. The Rangers, they've won 6 in a row. From a team that has won 6 in a row to a team that is trying to avoid losing 6 in a row, the Cincinnati Reds, CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas, they kickstarted this one with a bang. They went back-to-back. Both have been cheat codes over the last month and a half, 2 months. CJ Abrams, he's hitting .325 with 5 home runs and 21 stolen bases over his last 40 games. Lane has 3 home home runs over his last 3. More on him in just a second. Washington, they got a huge 2-run single from Jake Alou, and it's huge because Cincinnati, they clawed their way back into it. They made it a 1-run game in the 3rd. That's when Lane Thomas, he did his thing again. He has 28 doubles on the year after that RBI double. He finished the day with 3 RBIs after a sac fly in the 8th. He's hitting .290 with 19 home runs, 14 stolen bases, and a near 130 OPS plus. Kyle Finnegan, he strikes out 2 again. He has 17 saves. The Reds, I don't think they've won a ball game since the deadline, and the same thing could be happening with the Angels. Again, the Angels and Mariners are facing off in one of the most important series of the year, a battle for the wild card. Seattle, they jumped on the Angels early with a leadoff home run from J.P. Crawford, but LA, they tied it immediately on an RBI double from Mike Moustakas. The score stayed 1 all the way until the 7th because both starters were nasty. Bryce Miller, the rookie for Seattle, he struck out 10 over 5. He allowed just 1 run in the 5th. Chase Silseth, he's been on a tear lately. He was nasty. 12 strikeouts over 7 innings, just 4 base hits. Unfortunately, one of those hits was a home run later on to Teoscar Hernandez. But LA, they answered back again. They tie it right back up on a long home run from Matty Ice, aka Matt Thaiss. We head to the 10th inning where Seattle, they reclaimed the lead on an RBI single from Eugenio Suarez, and that's all she wrote. Taylor Saucedo, he sauced up the Angels. He threw 2 no-hit frames. He struck out 3 to grab the W. Seattle, they're now just 2.5 games back of the wild card after winning 5 in a row. The Angels are 7 games back after losing 6 in a row. They haven't won since the trade deadline, and to be honest with you guys, not trading Shohei Ohtani might be the biggest mistake I've seen a team make in quite some time. They could have gotten so much for him and start the rebuild, but they didn't. I'm still hoping that when Mike Trout comes back and Brandon Drury's healthy and everyone else comes back, Gio Urshela, that they might be able to make a comeback. But moving on over to the Phillies and Royals game, Kansas City found themselves up 3-zip after the first frame, and there goes the lead. Friend of the channel and fellow 702 boy, that's just Las Vegas area code, Bryson Stott, he's having an insane 2023. He went the other way for a game-tying 3-run home run, his 10th of the year. More on Bryson in just a second. Look at Kyle Schwarber going 420 feet on a 2-run tater. With 1 swing, Philly is back on top. They lead 5-3. Now, I do want to show this sick play from Michael Massey to rob Bryson Stott in the 3rd. Like, that play should be impossible. Bryson, he moves down the line, and he somehow still made the play, flipping it to the shortstop. That was cool. Bryson, he got some payback with a web jump of his own to end the top of the 5th, and Nick Castellanos, he ripped it open. He had 27 doubles and 13 home runs in all of 2022. He has 26 doubles and 17 home runs already. The Phillies have won 2 in a row. The Blue Jays absolutely torched the Red Sox to a tune of 13 runs on 16 base hits. My goodness, Boston has folded like a picnic table in the wind lately. Matt Chapman, he doubled in 2 to start a 4-run 3rd inning for the Blue Jays. And look at this kid, Davis Schneider. He's having one of the best debut weeks I've seen in quite some time. That's his 2nd home run already. He drove in 4 RBIs in this one. He got hit by a pitch in the 5th, and then after Matt Chapman singled in his 3rd RBI, Schneider got his 4th RBI of the night. He's now 9 for his first 13 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs in his first 3 games. And if you forgot, he is a former 28th round draft pick. Good for him. Chris Bassett, he went out there for the 7th inning. He cruised his way to 6 strikeouts. The Jays, they are looking absolutely lethal heading into the final month of the season. They've won 3 games in a row. This Josh Lowe kid continues to impress almost every single game. He's a rookie, by the way. He drove in RBIs 57 and 58 for the Rays on a single in the 1st inning, and yeah, it was a wrap from there. Yandy, he smoked a 2-run laser beam home run, and then Brandon Lau nearly sent one 430 feet for his 15th home run, despite missing like 25 or 30 plus games. Now, before we show off Wander Franco's 2-run blast, I do want to show Kerry Carpenter absolutely bodying a baseball. He has 18 home runs and a 120 OPS plus in his first 99 games. Kerry Carpenter is very underrated. Remember that name. Wander Franco, he finished off the Tigers to make it a 10 spot. He has 15 home runs, 29 stolen bases, and a mind-bending, a mind-altering, mind-melting 16 DRS at shortstop. He's been one of the most valuable players in baseball, and he's still not even 24 years old yet. I think he's like 23 or 22. Here we go, the Cubs and the Braves. Matt Olson hit a prodigious 2-run home run to give the Braves an early 2-0 lead. He's got 39 home runs, matching a career high he set back in 2021. He is one of 20 first basemen ever with 215 home runs and a career 130 OPS plus through their age 29 season. A lot of them are in the Hall of Fame. Chicago, they were able to tie it on a bases-loaded walk in the 3rd, but Matt Olson, he drove in his 3rd RBI, giving him 97 on the year. He also gave his team the lead in the process, but not so fast as Ian Happ and Cody Bellinger. They each singled to tie it and steal the lead, and newcomer Jamir Candelario, he did his thing on a single to bring home Belly to end a 3-run 5th inning. Bellinger, he got on base again. He had 2 base hits and a walk. He's hitting .326 with an insane 144 OPS plus. He was brought home by Dansby Swanson, Adbert Alzola. He's been a save machine. They got their 2nd win in a row. The Reds, they've lost 6 in a row. So the Cubs and the Reds are now tied for for the final spot in the wild card in the National League. Now, lucky for the Reds and the Cubs, the Brewers have not been good lately either. They dropped to 3-7 over their last 10 games. Pittsburgh rookie catcher Endy Rodriguez, he had his second career home run, and look at Connor Joe also contributing. That's a solo home run. Johan Oviedo is looking like early season Oviedo when he was throwing quality start after quality start. He had a 7-inning performance with 1 earned run in his last start. This time out, 7 innings, 0 earned runs, just 2 hits. He has a 2.3 ERA over his last 5 starts. Brian Reynolds, he's been on fire as well. That is a 2-run, 430-foot moonshot. He's hitting .320 with 4 home runs and 7 RBIs over his last 12 games. The Cubs and the Reds, I just want to throw this out there. Not only are they tied for the wild card spot, but they're both tied at a game and a half behind the Brewers for first place in that division. Both starters in this A's and Giants game got roughed up, so we're just going to show the offense. Seth Brown, he laid down an RBI 3-bagger in the first inning for Oakland. And then, wait, who is it? Nick Allen hit a home run? Hello? He never hits home runs. Wait, is that a second one? He has 7 career home runs. So 30% of his career home runs happened in this one game. The A's, they were still down a few after the San Francisco Giants kind of stormed back. When Tyler Soderstrom, he took a walk with the bases loaded, and Shea Langoliers, he made it happen. His 2-run single in the 6th put the A's up a few, and Trevor May, he was able to secure his 11th save of the year. The A's have won 2 games in a row, and also I just want to mention this. Ramon Laureano got DFA'd. He's kind of a former fan favorite. He got busted for steroids and stuff like that, but he's no longer with the team. I wonder who's going to pick him up. Maybe the Yankees. I feel like he always has torched New York, so maybe they give him a chance. I don't know. After losing to the A's twice in a row, things got even worse for San Francisco fans because LA, they made light work of the Padres to extend their lead in the National West. I mean, Ahmed Rosario versus a lefty. I'm just going to say this. It's a cheat code. He's very good against lefties. Ahmed now has 4 multi-RBI games in his last 5. I mean, Dodgers fans are running away with that. Freddie Freeman, he might be having the best season of his career, and that's not me being dramatic or being hyperbolic. He cranked a 3-run home run in the 2nd. He's hitting .340 with 23 home runs, 18 RBIs, and 16 stolen bases. That's a career high. Oh, and he has a 169 OPS plus, the best in the National League right now. El Kraken, he ripped one. I do want to show that. Gary Sanchez has 15 home runs and 174 at-bats. Good for a 126 OPS plus. It's just really cool to see him back and raking. Mookie Betts, he got on the home run board as well. He has 30 home runs, so back-to-back 30 home run seasons. But this time, he's hitting .285 with a 156 OPS plus. By the way, newcomers Enrique Hernandez and Lance Lynn, they showed up. Enrique, he had an RBI double. He's hitting .333 as a Dodger. Lance Lynn, he shoved for 1 run over 6 innings, striking out 6 along the way. The Dodgers absolutely crushed the trade deadline, and to be honest with you guys, they're reminding me a lot of the 2021 Braves when they got Adam Duvall, Jock Peterson, I think Eddie Rosario. It's a big reminder of that season. A couple boring games we got to talk about. I'm sorry, but I do not want to skip them. The Orioles, they finished off a 3-game sweep of the embarrassing Mets. I'm sorry, Mets fans, I want to give you a virtual hug. I'm sorry for even saying that, but it's borderline embarrassing and pathetic right now. Kyle Bradish, he almost struck out 5 over nearly 5 shutout. Baltimore, they won this game without a single RBI base hit. They got 1 on an Adley Rutschman ground out, another on a Ryan O'Hearn fielder's choice. Shintaro Fujinami, by the way, he has 9 strikeouts and just 2 hits over his last 7 after striking out 2 in this one. Felix Bautista, he wrapped up his 30th save of the season, and yeah, Baltimore, they went easy. They won 4 in a row. The Rockies and the Cardinals, this sac fly from rookie Ezequiel Tovar was the game's only run, and I mean that. Colorado starting pitcher Austin Gomber, he went out there and dominated his former team. If you don't remember, he was one of the centerpieces of the Nolan Arenado trade, so he's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball since that point. So him going 6 shutout must have felt really good. Maybe his best start considering everything. Justin Lawrence, he came in for the final 4 outs. He left with his 9th save of the year. The Cardinals, they're back to 15 games under 500, which just blows my mind that the Mets and the Cardinals have just been complete embarrassments this year. Today's Immaculate Grid is going to be a fun one, but before we do that, let's talk about the wild card standings. In the American League, you can see that the Rays, the Astros, and the Jays are all kind of sitting comfortable right now. The Mariners, they do have a pretty easy schedule coming up. They've won 5 in a row. They're 8-2 over their last 10, so they're 2.5 games back. The Yankees and the Red Sox have all been terrible lately. Same with the Angels. So the Angels are now 7 games back. Is their season over? Let me know. Same with the Guardians. They're now 8.5 games back. What's going on with them? In the National League, the Giants, the Phillies, they're up by 3 games. The Cubs and the Reds, like I mentioned, are tied for the final wild card spot. The Marlins are a half game back. The Diamondbacks have been terrible. They've lost 6 in a row. The Padres, they're 3 games back. So the National League wild card is going to be, again, a mad dash to the finish line. All right, here we go. Today's Immaculate Grid. I'm going to go David Eckstein simply because I like David Eckstein, and his wife is the voice of Ahsoka, so he is an Angel and Cardinal. 10%, not the best. A Cardinal and a Cub. I could go with Dexter Fowler. I feel like that might be a good pick. I could go with Wilson Contreras, but I'm going to go Dexter Fowler at 12%. A World Series champion for the Cardinals. Here's a name that I'm going to throw out. I'm pretty sure that he was on the team. Jason Mott, one of my favorite relief pitchers of all time. 1%, that's huge. The Angels and the Astros. Angels and the Astros. Who was on both teams? I think... Wasn't Martin Maldonado an Angel for... Wasn't he traded there for a little bit? Martin Maldonado. I see him in an Angels uniform. Okay, 13%. A lot of people had the same idea. The Astros and the Cubs. Astros and the Cubs. Trey Mancini. I know that he got DFA'd, but he was on both teams. 26%. World Series champion for the Astros. I could go with a lot of different names, but I'm going to try and think of someone that a lot of people will not think about. I'm going to go Brian Abreu. I'm going to go Brian Abreu just because he was on my mind. He was in today's recap. I'm going to go Brian Abreu. Hello? Brian Abreu. There we go. 0.4% nice. A 300-plus save career for the Angels. Did Troy Percival get up to 300 saves with the Angels? I'm going to go Francisco Rodriguez. He had to have had 300, right? Yes, 43%. I feel like Troy Percival might have been in that conversation as well. 300-plus career save for the Cubs. Lee Smith, I'm pretty sure Lee Smith, 27%. Last one, a 300 career save guy with the World Series champ. Mariano is an easy one. Did Jonathan Papelbon have 300 saves, or has Craig Kimbrell won a World Series? All right, let's think about this. Mo is for sure in there. Trevor Hoffman, I don't think that he ever won a World Series. I'm pretty sure that Papelbon, I'm going to go Papelbon, and if I get this wrong, I'll be really upset. I got it right. Let's go. Here were the other picks. A lot of people went with Francisco Rodriguez. Mariano Rivera was 56%, so that was the biggest one. Second biggest was Pujols with the Angels and Cardinals. Nolan Ryan for the Astros and the Angels. And Altuve as a World Series champ. Okay, there you go. That does it for today's MLB recap. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. The final few months of the season are pretty much here. So if you guys want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.